there's no minutes kept of in-camera meetings, so if somebody wanted to look up the record in the future, there would be no record of what Mr. Utzon advised us.
About records, documents, emails, minutes of meetings, you'd expect to find the truth recorded there, would you not? Truth. George Orwell, 1984, Part 1, Chapter 3. And the perceptive will see the relevance here. Quote, and if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Who controls the past, ran the party slogan, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past. Now let's try this. And if all others accepted the lie which the city imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Trust, quality, excellence ran the city slogan. And the assertion, we just don't have pockets of excellence in this organization. We have excellence in what became truth.
The council had already obtained a legal opinion for the cost of $50,000 that had similar findings.
I haven't found that this committee. Is there, and I'll ask that question directly, is there an ethics committee? I mean, I went online and I went into
Welcome to Mississauga, Star.
As I said at the outset, the terms of reference also permitted me to make recommendations for the good governance of Mississauga. I have chosen to do so. I believe this is the real value of this inquiry. Indeed, I hope the real value of this report will be those recommendations rather than the findings I have made. In recent years, a great deal of public attention has been devoted to questions surrounding municipal infrastructure in Ontario. Cities age, and increasing sums of money are required to improve and replace existing infrastructure. I believe that the same might be said of Mississauga's ethical infrastructure. For many years, Mississauga has had very little in the way of formal rules or officials to enforce them.
On item 7 then, Councillor Prentice and Councillor Allen.
Thank you very much, and I'll make my comment first. And I did speak with our city manager about this when we had our one-on-one. But I have a lot of difficulty with how the committee is made up that does the assessment. We have, according to the report, there are 2 individuals, one the executive director of the art gallery, and the other one the general manager of a dance creation company, sitting on the committee. I am very uncomfortable with that. And I know it's made up, the city manager explained to me that there are many other municipalities that have a committee made up based on this format. But when you have groups that are applying, and 2 individuals in this case, of the groups who applied actually sat on the assessment committee. I think that is inappropriate. It's almost like we're talking about conflict of interest.
Councillor Prentice, if I could interrupt you for a minute, Mayor McKinley would like to respond to that particular issue. So we could let her jump in before we go to Councillor.
I think that Councillor Prentice has raised an excellent question. When I set up the Arts Task Force, I made a point of not having anybody on the task force that was involved directly in any organization in the arts in Mississauga to get a truly independent opinion. I think Councillor Prentice has raised an excellent question. I think there are people out there that should not be involved in any group that is applying for a grant. And I don't know what you can do about it, but I feel just as strongly about it as Councillor Prentice does. I think it's, even if, I mean, once the person sits on the group, they get to know all the people that are on the group, and even if they declare a conflict of interest, it doesn't bode well.
But I just want to state for the record, here's what I'm really happy about. There's the true ethical infrastructure. And
and that's a trick I've been using since 2006. So that, to me, is the commission saying, we listen to you.
As I said at the outset, the terms of reference also permitted me to make recommendations for the good governance in Mississauga. I have chosen to do so. I believe this is the real value of this inquiry. Indeed, I hope the real value of this report will be those recommendations rather than the findings I have made. In recent years, a great deal of public attention has been devoted to questions surrounding municipal infrastructure in Ontario. The city's age and increasing sums of money are required to improve and replace existing infrastructure. I believe that the same might be said of Mississauga's ethical infrastructure. For many years, Mississauga has had very little in the way of formal rules or officials to enforce them. The Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, the MCIA, contained rules governing conflict of interest, but these were and are inadequate.
Thank you. And also, like I know public question period is next, I have one question.
So you're done with this presentation?
Yes.
Councillor Crombie would like to speak to you at this point.
Thank you. I don't know who you are today. Are you Ursula? Are you the Muse, the FTT for the Truth? I want to thank you for your self-congratulating video and self-aggrandizing video, frankly. I would like to know what qualities you possess to make you a role model on ethical behavior and ethical infrastructure.
Let me think. I guess I should say thank you for still not getting the message.
Please answer my question.
Again?
Please answer my question.
Well, I've had considerable experience with asking questions around here and getting only responses.
Time for a response.
What was the question again?
What qualities do you possess to make you an authority on ethical behavior and ethical infrastructure?
Okay, the question I have is what in the video
Sorry,
makes you
Crombie,
conclude that I
Crombie,
consider myself an authority? I'm asking for people to help create an ethical infrastructure and help at higher levels, like Commissioner Cunningham and so on.
So
We need help here. I'm not an expert on ethical infrastructure.
Let me ask you a question on ethics.
Mm-hmm.
Is it ethical to create a video on a 14-year-old child? Is it ethical to cyberstalk a minor?
No, absolutely not. And I have not created a video on a 14-year-old.
Yes, in fact, you have.
Really?
Is it ethical to go after politicians' children in videos and cyberstalk minor children? I'm asking you this.
Well, first of all, let's have a definition of cyberstalk.
Yes.
Yes. I'd like your definition of cyberstalk, please.
I would like to suggest that you are not the model of ethical behavior that you portray yourself to be.
I'm not portraying anything. I'm following.
And as a citizen,
I'm sorry?
and as a citizen of this great city, I do not appreciate my children, one of which is a minor, being featured in your videos. I think this is a vast affront to policies that include invasion of privacy, of personal privacy, and in addition, privacy and protection of a minor. My child is 14 years old.
Excuse me, could you tell me which video? Because I'm not even aware of it.
Perhaps you should go back and review your videos. You have breached every code of conduct that I can imagine by going after my family on a personal level and featuring minor children in your videos. And I suggest to you that is not ethical behavior of any citizen.
I dispute what you say. I dispute what you say.
Obviously there's evidence.
I'm sorry?
Obviously there is evidence on the internet vastly viewed by many people.
I wish that my videos were vastly viewed.
Well, thankfully they're not. Thank you. I have no more questions.
Thank you. Any other questions? I see no more questions. Ms. see it's been moved. All those in favor? Thank you. That is carried. And now we'll go to public question period. In accordance with Section 36 of the City of Mississauga Procedure Bylaw, as amended, council may grant permission to a person who is present at council who wishes to address council on a matter on the agenda. Persons addressing council with a question should limit the preamble to a maximum of 2 statements sufficient to establish a context for the question. Does that mean that? Well, would anyone like to speak on any matter that we're dealing with?
Thanks, Councilwoman. Just as I was working the video, on January 22nd, 2000, and gosh, I think it's 9, council meeting, the one at EnerSource, the public meeting. As I was working the video, I noticed that in those days, he was just Ron Starr, he wasn't a councillor, made a comment that in 2000, he spoke to a councillor. And you can see him there saying, spoke to a councillor about the veto, and the minutes record that he spoke to council. And I'm just wondering whether that can be changed. Because there's a big difference between I spoke to a councillor and I spoke to council.
Okay, we'll have that reviewed. We'll give that direction to staff, and the clerks will review that record. If you can give me the date specifically?
Yes, it was January 22nd, 2009. And I think it was item 12. I think Mr. Starr in those days was, yeah. Okay.
Thank you. We'll have that clarified.